Behind me is my 84 Grand National, and today we are tackling heater core replacements. Now, this tutorial can work on 81 through 88 G-bodies, but be mindful that Turbo Regals do have their own specific components in here, so they may not interchange with the broader G-body line. And if you're familiar with my builds, this 84 Grand National is getting a new motor, so it's right over there getting ready to go in, upgraded cam, a few other go fast parts. I'll cover that in another episode. But back to this action, I'll be working in this area, so I need to clean up here. I've got my vacuum here, so I'm gonna suck everything out and remove this damaged seal, and we'll get right at it. I'm also doing custom wheel tubs in the car, so if you like that stuff, another episode on that is coming soon. All right, so let's break down some of the components and wiring that we see underneath here. Don't mind this connection and sensor. This is my aftermarket boost gauge wiring, so we'll remove this from the equation. Okay. So we have two vacuum lines that run to the HVAC box. This is the first one, and the second one has broken off, but it's down here, gray in color. We have our blower motor resistor right here with two screws. We have our relay system right down here. We have blower motor ground, blower motor power, which is purple in color. And we have a junction connector right here with a 4-pin. And the rest of the wiring just flows underneath from the firewall. So don't mind these wires over here. This powers my antenna, and I've deleted my antenna, so you just see open connections here. But we need to get all of this disconnected so that we can get access to the top of the box. But before all that, we also need to remove items that are around here, because that also has to lift out of our way. Okay, here we go. We'll get all of our wiring out of the way. This resistor just lifts straight up. There's no clip, but it's exposed to the element, so I expect it to be somewhat rusty. So I'm going to be very careful. I'm gonna rock it back and forth. You can even spray some lube down there to get it up, but don't pull on the wires, just pull on the connector. That's Rusty Wallace right there. All right, so to start off, we're supposed to remove our wipers, to remove this wiper cowl, and then gain access to some of the screws and bolts that are down here. But I don't like removing my wiper arms, so I'm going to try to snake this metal piece out from under there. So starting off, I'll take my 7mm and unscrew all of these. Now, be careful of scratching paint, but now we can get everything up and out of the way. If this is hard to get up, make sure you have all the screws removed, but your windshield installer may have gotten a little bit too much urethane at the base of the windshield, and that's what's holding it back. So be careful, but you may have to forcefully pull. All right. See, and that's exactly what it was. If you look here, you'll see witness marks of the urethane. Okay, we're looking good already. Next up, we're gonna remove some of the 7mm all around this area. Let me get you in a little bit closer so you can see what I'm talking about. All the screws that you see from this point back have to come off to get this plastic piece up and out of the way. Now, my wiper system has been damaged. I've never used it before. So you may have to take a look and disconnect what you see along yours. But here is a supply line, and there are a couple of screws. Well, there's one screw right down here. This bolts to the bracket, so I doubt you need to remove that out of the way. And then there's that second bolt right here. So remove that one, these, and then a few others here and on the outside. And should come up and out. So I got a few pro tips for you all. I'm using my DeWalt 20-volt drill with my 90-degree. And this 90-degree nut driver has been awesome in getting into some of the interior bits and some of the hard-to-reach angles. Now, the hood is in the way on several of these bolts, but because I can do this with my 7mm, now I can get in close to areas where I wouldn't be possible. Now, you could use a wrench and a socket, but you're going to be there all day, and in my industry, time is money. Tools help you do the job better so you can do more work. I believe these are like 20 bucks over at Home Depot, but take a look online. I'll drop a link on Amazon to see if you can get your own. Now this is the first time I'm doing this too, so I'm just getting a feel for everything, making sure that nothing is fighting me, and get it up and out of the way. I may have to find some replacement mesh so I can repair this. On the underside, it just looks like it's molded in, so we'll figure out a nice solution to that soon. All right, so here's where the fun stuff begins. Here's our air intake. It's pretty dirty down in there, so we'll bring the vacuum back out and suck up some of this other stuff. Notice that there's also some sort of seal here that you're gonna have to replace when we get back to putting things back together. Next thing up is getting our electrical systems out of the way. And we need to get those out of the way so we can split the case and remove the top half of this. So let's do it one step at a time. This is pretty rusty onto the connection. So instead of trying to pry the connector off, I'm gonna remove the two 7mm that are here. Same thing with the relay connection that's back here. I'm gonna remove the two 7s that are here. The power and ground connection to the blower motor, they're right here and they're easily coming off, so I'll just take them off there. And then this vent pops off real nice and easy, and we'll just get that out of the way. There are several 7mm bolts all the way around here, so you just gotta remove that and we can get this out of the way. I'm curious to see what's behind here. We've seen signs of nesting, you know, rats' nests everywhere, so this may not be any different, but let's see what we get. Wow, that's old school. You know, in the 90s and the 2000s, GM coated these, but it's so trippy to see them just out in the open like this. Wow. The screws around the blower motor are 1/4 inch instead of 7mm, so take note of that. When you're removing the screws all in this box, be careful because these are coarse screws, but they can strip out. So what I do is I modulate the trigger, and that way I'm hopefully reducing some of the extra torque that they're placing on these. Okay, I'm excited. Let's see what we get. Aw, it looks good. But take a look at what's down in here. Yep. No rat turds, so that's great. So next up is removing the 4 10mm bolts across the top, and I count 12 7mm bolts all around the edge. Note, there is one bolt that is down in here. Let me show you that. So if you come here, you see one in the center of the screen. So if you're not getting lift, that's probably why. In addition to that one there, there's also one more here. I didn't see this at first, so make sure you take note. So after you take care of the 11 1/4 inch bolts across the sides and down in here, the 4 across the back, now we're ready to lift. There it is. This bracket may put a little bit of a dampening on you trying to get out from there. There's no easy way to remove it either. So you may have to come back in here with a screwdriver and just try to pry it forward. Give you the separation you need. There it is. So I wasn't expecting these brackets to get in the way, so I'll come back with my 11mm and remove those. Okay, one more time. Okay. So now we're at the fun stuff. Here's our evaporator core. This is the heater core of the AC system, and here's our heater core. So we're replacing this today. I'll be blowing stuff out of this system just to make sure that we're good and I don't see any leaks going throughout here, just to have some sort of confidence when the engine comes back in and my compressor's installed, I'll be good to go, because I don't want to have to do this twice. So there is a grounding strap here that's disconnected. I don't know what it comes from. So I'm gonna look online for some pictures, some research, but if you know, drop a note in the comments so me and everybody else in the community can figure it out. This looks to be an 8mm, so let's get that out of the way. Really cool bracket to hold it in. We should be able to lift straight out. Now, because this leaked already, I'm curious to see what it looks like down inside of there. It's been a year at least by the last time I ran liquid in that system. So let's see what we get. Okay. Yeah. So this is the foam. Oh man, I just ripped it. So this is the foam that comes from over here. It's really brittle, so be careful. And I can suck that stuff out, up and out of the way. And just generally give everything here really good cleaning. But this doesn't look bad. This looks a lot better than I thought it would. Looking closely, I see Harrison on here. I don't see a part number. Sounds a little tinny, a little rattly. Nothing's coming out though. But note the way these curve. This is specific to hot air Grand Nationals. Now I've got my replacement here. And unfortunately, they do not do the same thing. Yeah, one of these are not like the other, unfortunately. The new one, the replacement one's a little bit bigger, a little bit on both dimensions. It's a little bit wider, it's a little bit taller, and the tubes don't come out the same way. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to use this in my car. Back to the drawing board. All right, so unfortunately I have to end the video there while I figure out my replacement options for my heater core. I'm gonna look online, scour the internet, see if there's any more hot air heater cores available. It's not looking good for my initial search, so I'll let you know in the next episode how everything turns out, and hopefully we'll have that replacement heater core in there and we can start to put the rest of the motor and things back together. Thanks for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. Talk to you in the next one.